Well, last year I finally got the original trilogy of Bionicle movies wrapped up on the channel, and Web of Shadows was a fun one to revisit. And while movies were never made for the storyline from 2006 to 2008, 2009 finally saw the release of a fourth feature-length Bionicle movie, starring Michael Dorn in the lead role. How exciting! This time though, Miramax would not be involved, instead being published by Universal, with a notably different visual style to it. And one of the companies who worked on this one is Threshold Entertainment. Not sure I recognise the name, but one look at their wiki page and oh god, these are the people who worked on Food Fight. I'm sure this is fine. So here's the thing. This movie has a reputation for being, well, not great. But it's been 11 years since it came out and I haven't seen it since then, so who knows? Maybe it'll be at the odds and be something actually good. But probably not. I will say that my interest in Bionicle was on its way out by this particular era. And while I did buy a number of the sets, 2009 was also the year I got really into Team Fortress 2. And well, let's just say my obsession with Bionicle was gradually replaced over the course of the year. But that's not relevant. What I mean to say is that perhaps my view of this movie will be affected by my lack of nostalgia. We'll see. But first, I guess I need to set the scene a little bit. Bionicle has this deep lore, and I know not all of you watching are close followers of it, which is fine. Just come with me on this journey. My calming tone will guide you. So to bring you up to speed, from 2006 to 2008, the plotline revolved around another mask. A bit like that first movie, but this time it was the Mask of Life. And various heroes, including the original Tour Nuva team and a whole new Tour team, went in search of it. The general gist as to why is that Matanui, their god, was dying, and they needed to find this mask to save him. The journey took them to a new island, under the sea and in the air. There was no limit to where this expedition would take the heroes, new and old. Some characters died, some underwent edgy makeovers, and some just looked generally worse than before. Alright, you're telling me that's Gali? Nice one, mate. Ultimately, the storyline concluded with Matanui being revived from his slumber and actually waking up. And here was a big twist. Matanui was actually a big robot beneath the island of Matanui, which was destroyed when he awoke. Don't worry though, they evacuated the whole island first. There's this whole thing with the Matoran returning to Metru Nui, and the real Turaga Duma being there, not the fake one who was actually Makuta. Don't worry about it. But the giant Matanui robot was compromised and the evil Makuta possessed it, sending the Mask of Life and Matanui's spirit out into the stars. If you're still confused, let me put it this way. God was dying, the heroes needed a magical MacGuffin to save God, but God turned out to be a robot beneath the sea who then woke up, but then the devil took control of God's robot body and banished God into space. Are we good? Alright, let's get on with the movie. The movie begins with a bit of a recap of that robot stuff from earlier. Michael Dorn gets to do a bit of voiceover too.
It is said that all endings are merely beginnings waiting to be born.
I gotta admit, while I like Michael Dorn and his performance here, I do miss Vakama's voiceover. There's just something about that
gathered friends
that just hits different. I don't know how to explain it. The mask flies through space and we get a title card with a little bounce from the Bionicle logo. Such a quality bounce. It's like a text effect I'd use in a video of mine from like 2013 or something. The mask finds itself on Barra Magna, a desolate planet where matches between fighters known as Glatorian are a big part of their society. Hold on. Glatorian? Gladiator? Very clever, Lego. Bet you thought you were sneaky with that one. The mask impacts, making a large crater, which draws the attention of this little insect, which then calls to its friends as they all investigate the strange mask that fell from the sky. The mask begins to glow and many of the beetles retreat, except for one. And very quickly, Matanui himself is born from the mask, looking all yellow and pointy.
Sorry, little one. You may have noticed, I am not steady on my feet yet.
Having nearly stepped on this cute bug, he apologises and befriends the critter. I do actually like this little friendship, especially as many characters throughout the movie react with disgust to it.
Hey, you've got to relax. You've got a filthy scarabax on your back.
Hey, you got a
He knows.
Whereas Matanui just kind of vibes with this little dude. I like that.
Thanks, but I like him right where he is.
Also, he's called Click, just in case you thought he wasn't cute enough. The Beetle itself was something you could get as a promotional set to build with Bionicle parts at its actual size too, which is really neat.
As Matanui converses with his new companion, there's something you may notice about his face, particularly his mouth. First of all, you can see the mouth behind the mask, and secondly, there are teeth. Bionicle teeth.
Oh. No.
Look, I know some sets did have teeth, but those made it work. This just looks bizarre. And I'll be honest with you, I kinda hate it. Anyway, the beetle can transform into a shield with eyes. This is fortunate, as Matanui is very quickly jumped by a scorpion creature known as a Vorox. They're a sort of bestial humanoid warrior of a roaming desert tribe called Bone Hunters. The fight itself is cut short when the tail hits the beetle shield and breaks.
Was that a stock stinger sound effect? I hope that's not a trend for this movie.
Following the battle, a vehicle pulls up next to Matanui. This vehicle contains Metis, a somewhat charismatic Agori. And what's an Agori, you might ask?
Me! I'm an Agori.
Metis is an interesting character, but most of that comes later. For now, we'll just be treated to some interesting desert vistas. I can't necessarily fault this movie visually, I like how it looks in a lot of places. I'm still not into the Bionicle teeth, but it's a choice. Metis introduces Matanui to the planet's culture, that of the Glatorians in their pit fights.
You Agori use your best warriors? For sport?
Not sport, problem solving, much more honorable than slaughtering each other, and considerably more profitable.
On a side note, somebody in this movie betrays the heroes later. Can you guess who? Matanui witnesses a battle between Akar, an older veteran fighter of the Fire Tribe, and Strak, an ice guy with an axe. And we're also introduced to Ranu, an Agori of Fire, who was only really remarkable for being voiced by Armin Shimmerman, better known to sci-fi fans as Quark in Star Trek Deep Space Nine, or as Principal Snyder in the first 3 seasons of Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
You. All of you. Why couldn't you be dealing drugs like normal people?
As the fight continues, Akar gains the upper hand.
Is it just me, or does that not seem like the right sound effect?
And Akar gets Strak to concede, but this little Norse ice boy is a filthy cheater, and attacks when his foe's back is turned. So of course Matanui jumps in to help, because he's got that whole honor thing going on.
I'll cut you down for that outsider!
I wasn't joking about the Norse thing, by the way, he seriously sounds like a Skyrim character. Also, I can't help but be distracted by Matanui's eyebrows. They're like part of his mask, but also not part of his mask, and I'm unsure how they work logistically.
How does one have non-Euclidean eyebrows?
Anyway, the mask creates yet another weapon, and Matanui bests Strak. Akar thanks our hero, and he makes a very odd smile. God, it's like the Terminator 2 smile. Uncanny. Matanui spends some time at Akar's place, who laments how his Glatorian career hasn't brought him much joy, while Metis arrives to try and hire Matanui, but is promptly scared off. This leads to some oddly forced laughter.
I'm going now.
And speaking of forced, we also meet Kina here, who listens in and hears that Matanui comes from another world, which vindicates her belief about aliens, apparently. Kina is certainly a character.
As Glatorian go, Kina ranks.
I was right.
I'd trust her with my life.
I mean, she's fine. I'm not against the idea of a quirky conspiracy theorist as a main character. It just doesn't quite feel authentic to me, and I can't place why.
I just don't necessarily think she works here, but she's not the only one, trust me.
Let me guess. You call him Click. Hey!
So the trio band together to help Matanui get back home and save his people. Oh, and Kina wants to go with him when he leaves because she's tired of this desert world, and Akar's just there for the ride, I guess.
Akar fills the role of the old man mentor figure, and surprisingly, he actually survives the events of the movie.
Oh, and I forgot to mention he's voiced by legendary voice actor Jim Cummings, so the performance is actually pretty great from him.
The voice acting on the whole is pretty well done. The actors are well cast, but I don't always feel that they're used well. We'll get into that.
Something else I should mention is the music. It's just kind of there. I never really mentioned anything about the soundtrack of the original trilogy, but it was always really good.
Nathan First was a master of his craft, and he didn't have to make a masterpiece 3 times in a row, and yet he did.
So many unique and lovely melodies that bring tears to my eyes to this very day. The Legend Reborn soundtrack, on the other hand, just feels a bit generic in comparison, and it blends into the background. It turns up and pretty much does the bare minimum. There's one or two good bits, but nothing really that sticks with me. But maybe that's just my personal preference. While headed for Keena's village, the trio are ambushed. After all,
this canyon's ideal for an ambush.
The ambush is spearheaded by a group of Skrull, these guys, and a mechanical walker known as a Scorpio. By the way, the Scorpio was one of the coolest damn sets of this era. I mean, look at this thing. Later Bionicle went nuts with some of the vehicle builds. I only had a few of these myself, but these are always really fun and challenging builds. Anyway, a fight ensues and the action is fine, but the sound effects are once again a little odd.
Why does lizard creatures sound like horse?
They even use a Wilhelm scream at some point. I mean, come on.
It's all generic stock sound effect stuff, and yes, I get it, it gets used in a lot of stuff, but it can be a bit jarring when you recognize all of them.
The heroes do eventually defeat their attackers. They also suss out that the only way they could have been ambushed is if there was a traitor among them. I wonder who that could possibly be.
Gutsiest move I've ever seen.
Yes! Those bone hunters are gonna be eating Scorpio belly for weeks! Not bad, Otherworlder.
Please don't smile like that, you're upsetting the children.
Anyway, it turns out that Keena's village has been ransacked and is now a smoking ruin. Sorry for the total tonal whiplash there. And there they come across the injured rookie fighter Gresh, who claims the Bone Hunters have joined forces with the Skrull. And this is confirmed for some reason when they see Tuma, the Skrull leader. I'm pretty sure there are only Skrull there, so I don't know how it confirms the theory, but apparently it does. The heroes take refuge in an underground cavern which highlights the elemental history of Barra Magna, before it was a barren wasteland. Also, are these just matte paintings or photographs or something? I'm not sure what I'm looking at. And it's here that they run into Barracks.
Okay, look, everything's okay, it's just me, Barracks.
You filthy little thief!
Barracks, voiced by James Arnold Taylor, is an Ogori who acts as the movie's comic relief.
This place doesn't belong to you. And look, I am not a thief, I am a collector. Ooh, I like that mess, so can I have it? I just want to...
Come here, you!
I don't really care for him. They just have him babbling and muttering in really long sentences. It's not that funny.
He's no Matau, that's for sure. As Barracks is known for fixing things, he is tasked with patching up Gresh's injuries. Masanui also finds a giant door with the 3 virtues sign on it, this symbol, which you may remember from the previous movies. He touches it and the door opens, leading to a sort of lab, which includes a depiction of the great robot that Matanui was once part of. It's set up for stuff that doesn't get paid off in this movie. Afterwards, Gresh is patched up and the crew lament that their weapons are still a bit, well, crap.
Most Glatorian weapons are made of bone or claw.
Collected a few, have you?
Oh, so funny.
For some reason, Matanui's mask power is used to create deadlier weapons than before.
And I don't know why the Mask of Life has this effect, but here we are, I guess.
Anyway, this leads to a sort of spa to test their new elemental powers.
Ha ha ha! Looks like I can blow you both away.
Better yet, why not combine them?
Makes glass!
Good times.
But what this amounts to is mostly just a car training the group to be better fighters, since he's the old man mentor after all.
Oh, yeah, he totally got... Ow! Ouch. Ouch.
And again, with the cartoon sound effects. Why? I also want to point out this very odd line delivery.
Study their fighting style, find their weakness, then use it against them. If you can.
I don't blame Jim Cummings for that one. I think it's, again, this movie's editing and audio, a lot of it just feels inappropriately used or directed.
Right, video on Bionicle the Legend Reborn, criticise its shortcomings and get many views. If you can.
The crew makes it to another village, and that car is certainly looking crowded. Soon they'll be needing a family hatchback. I don't know cars, is that the right terminology? They're here to warn the Ogori there of danger, interrupting another Glatorian battle between Vastus and Tarix. Now, I actually had Tarek's, and I really like his design, but I always think about his little shoulder horns. They always fell off, and it was very annoying. I'm sorry about this random tangent. I'll get back to the movie now. The other Agori seem skeptical of the danger, but a car shows off some elemental power, and another Glatorian's weapon is also upgraded as proof. I mean, at this point, Matanui is just a walking upgrade system, which means he agrees to stay and help the people of Barra Magna upgrade their weapons before he can leave, since they can't take on the Skrull Bone Hunter Alliance alone. Berix and Kina then get captured while trying to locate the traitor, who they find but don't immediately reveal.
What? No, you've got it all wrong. I was following...
He was following me.
You?
But come on. We all know.
Matanui takes up the task of rescuing the two water friends while the other Glatorian agree to protect the villagers. Kina and Berix end up bonding in prison through yet more forced laughter. Either way, their rescuer promptly arrives. Matanui then challenges the Skrull leader Tuma to a fight.
I'm going to enjoy tearing that fancy mask from your face.
It seems like a friendly match. Now, maybe I'm spoiled, but a lot of the fights in this movie just aren't very dynamic. They all seem a little rooted to the spot.
I don't know, it's just not that exciting to watch.
Matanui uses his training to best
the mighty Tuma,
leading to the big reveal.
I could always pick a winner.
What a shock! Small bastard capitalist.
Not a coward, just a good businessman.
You know, I kinda dig Metis. He's kind of like if Stan from Monkey Island was a villain. David Leisure's performance as this character is actually great. He's charismatic and plays the businessman side just as well as the sinister side. The Metis betrayal threatens to overturn the victory, but then this thing shows up and
Yeah, this is a thing.
So, like, it's a giant version of this Bionicle, who doesn't turn up in this movie at all, by the way, but here it's made from all of the purple insects. Why did this happen? I don't know. But Matanui uses this distraction to free Berix and Kina, and then all the other Glatorian and villagers show up for a big final battle, in which we get more cartoon sounds from Berix.
Now I get that he's the comic relief, but this is kind of a farce. And don't give me the whole, oh, it's a children's film, so it's fine. The other films took themselves a mite more seriously, and part of the appeal of Bionicle was the fact that it could be taken seriously. Kids loved that.
The story was serious and well put together, and this was reflected in the Miramax trilogy, even if it was toned back a bit. It just wasn't toned this far back. There is one cool serious moment here though, when Matanui tracks down Metis before he escapes, and then...
Stop! What are you doing?
That's disturbing. I love it.
It's a bit on the nose, biblically speaking, when you consider that Matanui is basically like the god of this universe. But hey. Anyhow, the heroes' combined powers fight off the Skrull and Bone Hunters with ease, but not before.
Wait. Where's Berix? Berix! Berix! Berix!
Wait, are we about to get some tragedy? Some real emotion? Could it be?
Down here. Help! Help! Come on, please!
Never mind.
And of course, to finish off, we have one last little bit of...
forced laughing.
The movie ends with the villagers coming together to move giant pieces across the land. Giant pieces that make up what seems to be another giant robot body. And if you know the lore, you know why. And you know where it's going. But this was never continued in movie form. And this ended up being the last movie released this way for Bionicle.
Which, even if I'm not a fan of this movie, is a bit of a shame. It would have been nice for the end of the Bionicle saga to get the full movie treatment, but alas, no luck.
Bionicle The Legend Reborn is... yeah, it's not a good movie. It's not irredeemably terrible or anything, there's just not a lot I really like about it because it just doesn't shine. It's kind of sad. I like this plot line, but it's not really done justice here. The bottom line is that the movie is just kind of boring. I hate to say that, but it just is for me. It's just boring. And not a lot really happens. You might be thinking, wait, that's it? That's the whole movie? Yes, that's all. And that breaks my heart, because I love Bionicle. Because I love the other three, even if I did nitpick at them. None of the original Miramax trilogy are this dull. The original Miramax trilogy had a real heart to it, and likable characters. Even with the cast of the Legend Reborn, with Michael Gosh Darn Dawn, they couldn't make me enjoy the ensemble. I mean, maybe Metis' slimy snake oil capitalist was fun, but that's all. I don't have much love for Keena, or Berix, or Gresh. They're all a bit dry, even with the good voice acting. It's just sad. I wish these characters had been done the justice they deserve, because this movie doesn't seem to care about them all too much.
And that means I don't really care here either. I'm certain these characters were better in other media.
One could argue it's a side effect of me not being really a fan of this era of Bionicle, but I think it runs a little bit deeper than that with this movie. The weird pacing, the bad editing, I don't know, it just doesn't give me the same feelings of joy. Maybe that's just me. In fact, maybe I'm way off base. And many people maybe love this movie. And you know what? I wouldn't even blame you if you did. I just don't like it myself, and that feels sad. I wish I could.
But hey, if you want, you can watch this movie for yourself. Draw your own conclusions. Maybe even enjoy it. If you can.